Fortnite Chapter 2 was Epic's big break of creating something new and interesting for the community back in 2019, after 10 seasons on the Chapter 1 map, bringing a new map with new locations, new items, and new mechanics to go with it. So, with such a great starting point, what went wrong? Let's talk about the first season. Epic wanted to treat this season as they did with the first season of Chapter 1, where there was a bare bones loot pool and making it so players go back to basics. But there was an issue. Epic kept constantly delaying the end of this season. Players started to become unhappy with how they were approaching this, and with little to no updates, be that the only update that added something new was the harpoon gun. I am not including the Star Wars collab in this. So content creators decided to take it into their own hands and came up with something new and fresh: custom games. Creators such as CypherPK, McCreamy, Lachlan decided to host custom games to spice up their content, as the game was lacking anything new for them to make videos about. This included fashion shows, hide and seeks, as well as one item only games. The list goes on from here. Eventually, Epic finally announced the starting date of the new season, and it started to look like everything was getting better from this point. Chapter 2 Season 2 Top Secret was Epic's biggest season yet, and is one of the most memorable ones to date. This season faced similar delays like the one before it, but Epic made up for it with the constant updates, adding new challenges, items, and more. This made it so we could have new things and not feel bored while we waited for the new season. This season added bosses, a mechanic and gameplay loop that has been in the game for many years at this point. These bosses would drop new mythic weapons and would allow players to open vaults in the locations they were found in. These vaults included chests, ammo boxes, and usually a porta potty, which would allow the player to traverse to another location. This was the start of something amazing if Epic kept this going throughout the chapter. Concerts. Epic finally brought back in-game concerts since the last one in Chapter 1 Season 7 with Marshmallow, but this time, instead of involving a single POI like Pleasant Park, for this collab, they decided to use the entire map to showcase what they can cook up now. This concert included no other than Travis Scott. This event is probably the best concert we have had to date, and a lot of the community would agree, but the events don't stop there. The Device, probably the most important event yet, if you do not include the end from Chapter 1 Season X. This event started what we know today as the Loop. Midas created a machine which would push back the storm and break the loop. The loop is the idea that every battle royale match that takes place makes it so people fight inside for 22 minutes at a time, and whoever is left standing gets to leave the loop but leaves a copy behind called a snapshot. This also introduced us to a new character, Agent Jones, who is still with us on the island today. This event broke many records and is known as one of the greatest Fortnite events of all time. Chapter 2 Season 3, also known as Splashdown, was the climax of the Device event, with the water storm crashing down onto the island, flooding it, giving Epic a new landscape to work on. But why was this season so hated? Let's start with the flood. This season made it so other POIs and other mini locations were submerged in water, with some being placed on top of floating floors such as Pleasant Park, Sweaty Sands, and the Fortilla. This made traversing these POIs a mess and a pain to go through, with fights being extended due to people either swimming away or hiding underwater with a floor atop of them. You also had to make sure to look around while near water, as the game now included a new enemy type, sharks. These sharks would swim around the map and attack anyone close by either jumping out of the water at you or just attacking you while swimming. The loot pool. The loot pool was pretty bare bones this season, adding a new shotgun, the charged shotgun, which was severely hated at the time due to the controversy of the pump being vaulted, as well as having to get used to holding down your shot to charge it up in fights. At some point though, some players started to realise towards the end of the season that the shotgun was very skillful. If you knew how to use it, you would win almost every fight. This season also added fireflies, and the flare gun, when shot in the sky, would mark players close by, as well as setting fire to the surroundings. Vehicles were finally added to the game, giving players new ways to traverse the map, as well as new gas pumps and gas can items to fuel your vehicles in a pickle. Towards the end of the season, we finally got some hints as to what the next season would entail, with a comic book appearing in the Battle Pass menu, which includes a comic strip of 4, making players believe the next season would be Marvel themed. Chapter 2, Season 4, Nexus War. This season brings characters from the Marvel Universe and is the first season to have an entire battle pass dedicated to collabs. This season added many fan favourite Marvel characters such as Iron Man, Mystique, Thor, Storm, Groot, She-Hulk and Doctor Doom, with Wolverine being the secret skin of this season. The Spawn Island, which we're all familiar with, has been removed and replaced with none other than the helicarrier owned by S.H.I.E.L.D. Many locations were changed to match the new characters, such as Pleasant Park being changed to Doom's Domain, which housed the Doctor Doom mythic. West of Lazy Lake stood many Sentinels, and this mini location was called Sentinel Graveyard. East of the Authority was a shed which inhabited Tony Stark for a while. We will get to why it is important soon. Around the map you could find Stark Beacons, which are similar to the Rift Beacons the scientists made in Chapter 1 Season X. These Stark Beacons brought us a massive landmass which crushed Frenzy Farm and the Orchid. This was none other than Stark Industries, and to this day is known as one of the best POIs of all time, having many lootable spots including the boss mythic of Iron Man. This season also brought back our beloved spy boss Midas, in the form of Shadow Midas. I'm not sure if this is the Midas from 2 seasons prior, but with him brought a new Fortnite mez, and is classed as the best Fortnite mez of all time, bringing a new mode which included features such as Down But Not Out, where when you get eliminated you turn into a shadow form, and could attack other players to turn them into a shadow. Finally, at the end of the season, the big bad, which we've all known along as Galactus, finally shows himself in front of the island, and this puts us into the live event of the season.
Beware. Hunger!
This event is the first of many interactive live events Fortnite has done till now. People are still 50-50 on these events as they just want to watch something, experience it rather than do chores or tasks.
You did it! Thank you, bus driver.
That leads us into Season 5. Chapter 2, Season 5, 0 Point. This season continues on from the Galactus event and shows us that the 0 Point has been left out in the middle of the map. This is noticed by the Imagined Order, and we finally see a character we were introduced to 3 seasons prior, John Jones. His objective this season is to prevent anyone escaping the loop, so he recruits bounty hunters from across the multiverse. This season introduced a new feature called sand tunneling. A desert has been formed in the middle of the map where the 0 Point is located. If you stand in the sand for long enough, you'll be submerged and will be able to move around without taking damage. But once you get shot, you get thrown above the sand and exposed. This season brought back fan favourite locations from Chapter 1 but with its own twist, such as Tilted being mixed with Salty Springs, Dusty Depot being brought back south of the new Coliseum, and the Dirtburger location from Greasy being present south of Holly Hedges. The loot pool this season was pretty bare bones, but did add new collab items such as the Predator's cloaking device, the Mandalorian jetpack and sniper rifle. We also got a new shotgun called the Dragon's Breath. This shotgun would shoot all of its ammo at once and would cause fire to appear where the bullets landed. We got new versions of previous weapons in the form of exotics. These weapons acted differently than their counterparts and had unique abilities. For example, the Dub. This was modelled after the double barrel shotgun and acted like a flint-knock pistol where when you shoot you get knocked backwards. Zero Crisis is the start of Chapter 2 Season 6's Primal. This event consists of us, John Jones, and the Foundation trying to fix the 0 Point. We follow Jones as he closes portals made by the 0 Point. We then get touched by a reality wave and turn into different things. Jones eventually teleports us to the bottom of this new tower formed under the 0 Point where we climb towards the top. This is where we see the Foundation sacrifice himself inside the 0 Point to petrify it. He tells Jones to throw Jones's portal device into the 0 Point and overload it. This is where we start Fortnite Primal. Chapter 2 Season 6 Primal. Do not get me started on this season. This is one of the worst seasons Epic has put out, and to be honest I don't even want to give it any sort of praise. I'm going to show you a clip that pretty much sums up my thoughts on this season. This clip is from a stream I did during it, so please watch. Honestly, your dog, you little cancer virgin. You're a waste of oxygen, and you're a disappointment to your parents, you cunt. Okay, as you can see, this season sucked badly. I'm going to mention a few things before we get into next season. Towards the end of Primal, we saw different UFO sightings with crop fields being changed into different symbols, and UFOs flying around the map and abducting players. We were given tasks to complete, and once done, we got told about the last reality.
Then, the rest of them showed up.
While the island is certainly no stranger to strange phenomena, never before have we seen anything quite like this.
Chapter 2, Season 7's Invasion. This season has been asked for many years now. People wanted to have an alien-themed season, and they finally got it. This season revolves around the last reality, who we heard about towards the end of last season. They were here to abduct locations and experiment on the loopers. They first abducted the Spire in the middle of the map where the Foundation sacrificed himself. We see that he falls into water in the cinematic after being abducted. The loot pool consists of faction-specific items and other consumables. This includes the Imagined Order's pulse rifle, railgun, and recon scanner, as well as a mythic pulse rifle for Dr. Sloan. For the last reality, their weapons include a ray gun and a mythic equivalent. We got new exotics this season, such as the Marksman 6 shooter, the Nighthawk, and the Burst pulse rifle. New utility items were added, such as alien nanites, which were used for crafting, and also a throwable, which made an anti-gravity field. Other items include the inflatable, the Grabatron, and the Proper Fire. Leading up towards the season end, we found out about a mole who has been leaking info to the last reality. It was our job to give this mole fake information so the last reality could abduct Corny Complex. This would result in our season event. Operation Skyfire shows us the players trying to escape the mothership, with Dr. Sloan telling us information. We eventually get trapped and a certain purple cube appears. This is none other than our beloved Kevin the Cube from the chapter before. Sloan mentions how it nearly destroyed the island last time. Sloan used a final attack using our backpacks to send out a shockwave to make the cube unable to attack. She then mentions how he is stuck in the ship and then blows it up, but she didn't expect this. There wasn't just one cube, there were thousands, all falling from the sky. A certain cube looked a bit weird, as it was glowing gold. This leads us into the final season. Chapter 2, Season 8, Cubed, is a continuation of the Last Reality storyline, with the map being invaded by multiple cubes who are infecting the land and rolling around. Located near Holly Hedges, we see a golden cube which we saw at the end of last season's event falling down. This season's map changes included a crashed mothership located in the sea in the distance, as well as different cube biomes. These would house different sideways dimension bubbles which had cube variants of the husks from Save the World. These will drop weapons such as the sideways rifle, minigun, and scythe. The Imagined Order set up multiple camp outposts around the map to monitor the last reality. At these locations you can find IO guards and Dr. Sloan, who once eliminated dropped her mythic Burst AR. The railgun makes a return with a new item, the recon scanner. This item will mark things nearby, similar to the flare gun from Season 3. An item we haven't seen in many years makes a return, the Shadow Stone, last seen in Chapter 1 Season 6 and partly in Season X. This item turns you into a shadow form which lasts 45 seconds. This gives you the abilities such as increased movement speed, jump height, and are immune to fall damage. They also get a phase ability, allowing the player to teleport a short distance. Fortnite Mares this year revealed the identity of the leader of the last reality, the Cube Queen. She brings a new location with her in the form of the Convergence, a massive cube-like landscape which has multiple bouncy floors spread around. This brings new enemy types, such as the Caretaker, a big and deadlier version of the sideways enemies. You would find them around the map and would deal a great deal of damage to you if you aren't smart. During the end of Fortnite Mares, the Cube Queen traps herself in a sphere similar to what the Ice King did in Chapter 1 Season 7. During this time, the Convergence turns into a pyramid, using the cube power corruption started to leak around the map. A blue cube appears during the live event and protects us from the Cube Queen attacks, but after a while the sideways enemies finally get in, with motherships appearing in the sky above the Cube Queen to start attacking. But a certain group who we haven't seen in many years appear to save us. It's none other than the Seven, the Foundation, the Scientist, and the Visitor. They lead us underground to save Jones and act out their plan. The plan is interrupted by a Caretaker underwater, smashing a window to mess with the Seven's plans, but it was already too late. The Seven succeeded, and this brought about the end of the last reality, with the Cube Queen being submerged in water and failing. The island started to flip, and a new landscape was shown. This would lead us into Chapter 3, Flipped. As much as I'd like to dogpile Chapter 2, it did some themes really well. There wasn't really any point where I'd say, what went wrong? I think it really comes down to personal preference. There are some parts I'd love to change, if I could, such as the massive break of no updates during Season 1, but that's not really Epic's fault. The season came out at the start of COVID as well as the season after. There are a few mishaps here and there, but Epic do have a second chance to fix the issues during the end of this year, as the Chapter 2 OG has been leaked on the roadmap. Hopefully this will let people appreciate Chapter 2 more and not be blinded by nostalgia like Chapter 1. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. This is the first video on the channel which I hope to make different commentary style videos explaining different things. There's also going to be other games that I'm going to be recording. I've got a Minecraft video which I need to edit, which will be uploaded in a couple of weeks. So I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to subscribe and leave a like down below if you like this type of video, and I'll see you next time.